Hey guys, good morning. It's 9 o'clock, 7:15, 2020. You guys probably get this around 9:15-ish or 9:20. I hate to send these right before the market. Two things. I'm thinking about possibly doing a Discord chat room where we could kind of exchange ideas in real time rather than text delays. Like, for instance, NTNO yesterday, crazy gap. I mean, people got in this IPO below $30 a share and they just tripled their money. But the intraday chart was, look, my opinion doesn't matter. The market's opinion is all that matters. We've seen that in some of the IPOs I bought recently. I've been beat up on. This has been the worst week of my trading since this whole fiasco began with COVID. And it's getting a little tricky. I mean, I expected a pullback, substantial pullback in the NASDAQ on Wednesday. I thought about Tuesday at first. Well, it came Monday. And it was literally a one-day event. So the market has been crazy all over the place. Very hard to determine direction, especially at these levels right now. Whereas before I could say, okay, I could evaluate the pullback and say, I think we should buy, like we've done on the S&P in the last few pullbacks. I've said, look, this is not a rollover. It's not a head and shoulders. This chart looks bullish. Looks like we're going higher. And, that assertion was correct. But now you're getting such whipsaw action and you're at such a higher level, it's hard to determine whether these pullbacks should be bought or not. And then how long do you hold them for before another snapback to the downside? So that being said, I'm trying to find things once again that haven't moved. Anyway, NCNO yesterday, just looking at the intraday chart, I was shocked to see. While the first move was, you always get that first spike. But then when I started to see it pull back, and right in this level here, I said, okay, this is going to roll back over and down again. And then it popped again. And I was like, wow, that was a little surprising given the extent of this move and where this IPO is priced at. They obviously underpriced it. And it probably has something to do with the low float, which means this could actually grind a little bit higher even. The valuation might not be as skewed as my initial assumption. My initial assumption was based on usually the offering price and how it relates to the opening. So when you have a triple, I hate to chase. But then I'm like, wow, this thing's really kind of firming up here. So when I did this little kind of half double top, I took a big 50 shares. I'm like, I just want to see what this thing can do. I put my stop in at 76.15. I think I had a point and a half, 2 points to the downside, not even, because I got in at 77 and change, so maybe a point change. And then it fired up, and I was like, all right, let me see if we can get a pullback on another move up. And this second move up, I sold at 83 and change. Then it pulled back, and I stopped watching it. And then, obviously, it went fired up into the close, and then we're somewhat firm in the morning here. Tough to say on that one, but today's interesting ones are GOCO, GOCO looks really cool, interesting company. But I'm going to be a little bit more cautious given the move that I saw in BLCT Blue City, which I think maybe has to do with something of the structure of the company, like I talked about before, being an ADR. I mean, I just think that there's this fear ever since Luck and Coffee came out, and these companies don't go through the stringent testing that they do, or the financial criteria they do in the United States, that no one wants to have one slip by them. And I don't know, between that and a couple other recent events, maybe the timing was bad and we really bought into it before we had a liquidation gap in the NASDAQ. Who knows? But I haven't had such good luck. But we've also seen crazier moves, where these things have gone down and then fired back up to the upside. I mean, I was looking at an IPO the other day that was, $3 and went to $6 and then went back down to $3. I think it opened at $6, went down to $3. So you lost half your money, and then the thing's at like 20 something now. So it's really hard to say. The Jfin trade was, I said I buy some Jfin on weakness. And I have 800 shares of this, but I actually bought it, I think a little bit. It's at 420 now. Hold on a second. Jfin. I'm actually still down a little bit. I'm at 423, so I'm down less than $100. But this, I don't know what this can do here, but it's got some price history behind it, and I saw some guys on StockTwits throwing in the towel. So sometimes people wait. The best traders wait for everybody else to throw in the towel. Plus, it literally just tagged this 45-day moving average that I've been using. And we're bouncing off that. So, I don't know. I like to see things with prior history. Once again, we're using little Mickey Mouse bar charts. But yesterday, I probably should have added, but I had already bought it up in here. And then the last 2 days, I wasn't too concerned unless we closed below the 45-day moving average. Plus, this is the first pullback tail from the giant move up that we had. I think this thing almost hit 30 something, right? 35, 30, $30 a share, down to 4. So, sometimes stocks move based on technicals rather than fundamentals. So, this isn't the company that I'd be buying and holding fundamentally, but the price movement was interesting. So hopefully you guys got in a little Jfin there. I don't know where this goes. We'll try to figure it out. Maybe we get up to around the 520, 530 area, but with this market, who knows? Qs, I'm not so convinced that they're going to participate in this move as much. I believe that high was a definitive high that's going to take time to go through. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the NASDAQ actually pull back intraday once it decides to not participate in this move. So Moderna, I don't know. I think you fade this, to be honest with you. I know it got up to 92, so be cautious. I don't know how much revenue you can generate from this vaccine. And then LRN, this could be a little bit news sensitive. So yesterday I was in a little bit heavier than I wanted to be, and then I had a nice scalp trade. I think I sold it at, I forget, I came in, I believe 40 and change, and sold it 41 and change, something like that. And this little spike in here, I think, off the trend line. I can't remember my exact purchase was. So interesting concept here. It's almost like a hedge against the virus. In Moderna's, taking a lot longer than people. So this company is going to report on the 5th, I believe, of August, and they're probably going to crush earnings. I think you're going to see a blend of online, tutoring, online schooling, and they do offer a suite of products that aren't solely based on 100% stay at home for education. So the companies, I do believe in Citron's research reports. They have credibility. They've been around a while, and they've named some pretty. I think they were part of the Valiant Pharmaceuticals getting crushed, if I'm not mistaken. That might have been another company, Smoking Gun or whatever. But they have some pretty good stuff out there. Their calls have usually been right. But my concern is, and I'm still in this, by the way, I had actually 600 shares, and I sold 50 share lots to kind of hide them this morning at 39.20, 39.40, 39.50, just to lighten up my position. Obviously, one of those didn't get filled, but I thought I was in a little bit too heavy, and then last night the president started talking. I actually bought some in aftermarket at 37.40 that was already had a position in there, so I got up to 400, and then I started adding more, looking at it kind of creep back up, and I was going to try to sell a gap this morning, but with the Moderna news coming out, I was expecting a gap at least up to 41 and change. I would have made a nice, $800 on my trade, but then the Moderna news came out, and people are probably questioning the viability of this product here in this company if they do come out with a vaccine. So that hence lies the battleground debate here, whether everything's gonna be hunky dory and everything's perfect. Which to me, I'd be more than happy to lose money on an investment if the world can turn around and people be healthy and go back to our old ways. So I do like this chart technically. It got a little bit overextended, and I'm just kind of concerned as why did Citron come out with this news report? Were they trying to shovel some paper to us? Why didn't they come out with this report back around 28, 29, 30? Instead they come out when it's around 30, whatever, 35, 36, 37, and they run it and gap it. So it's a tough call. I kind of think that there's going to be more viruses, more mutations, different COVIDs, especially in the winter. I hate to be a half glass full kind of guy. But I don't know. I think that there's still some room here to the upside, but you're probably gonna have to deal with some type of a pullback. We'll see how far it pulls back. I want to see where it kind of flattens out. Let everybody that wants to get out, and let's see where this thing bases at. Other than that, The stocks I'm looking at, IMOS, I just like this company. The chip sector, everything chip related has been on fire. This was doing well before we had the huge market pullback. A nice gap up, and then the market came undone. Technically, or fundamentally, the stock trades at a very low valuation. They've always had good earnings, so I'm going to start nibbling a position in that. The Exxon Mobil trade's been doing well. We're at 45. I just liked this the other day when I called it out. I think we're at 42 or 43. I think this still has some room to the upside. Maybe DraftKings looks interesting here too as well. We have a big gap this morning. I think we're up at 30.90 by 30.95. This might be interesting if it pulls back, because we do have a triple bottom, I think, around 27.50. So that could be interesting as well. And then the cruise lines, if this is for real, then those should start moving. I talked about fast the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I bought a little bit on weakness. I thought this chart looked kind of interesting on the financials. And we'll see how that plays out. And then there's a couple other crazy movers today. I think TNA should be a good mover too. I think the small caps have lagged. Maybe they're time for them to play catch up in this little wedge here. We might pop to the upside. So let's see how TNA does. Big gap. I just hate to chase these gaps. But you might see some weakness in stuff like Zoom, given the news here. 254.80, and then Shop. I was shorting and going long all day yesterday. I don't know if you guys even like to trade this stuff. It's the swings are wild on it. I usually trade lots of like 60, 70, 80 shares, because the moves are 15, 20, 30 points in a day. It's insane. And I just think this is topped out, so I might short it again today, depending on where we go. It always seems to have a nice intraday move. And you can see what we saw yesterday was some wild trades, and this is how I trade it, kind of looking at different areas where it starts to break down. Some topping areas, I'll short it in here, and then I'll short it on the line in here, and then I might have shorted it here and got stopped out. I forget what my trades were all day yesterday. But, opening at what? I don't know why that does that. Opening at 780, or I'm sorry, 990, 1,000 and change, 1,040, whatever it was. No, it was like 995, and then going down. It drops 90 points. Those are crazy moves. Then bounces back up substantially to this little wedge in here multiple times to try to get through, and then finally push through. That was probably short covering. So let's see what it does today. I think this could pull back again as well. But I'll be focusing on those two IPOs, GOCO, and I wrote the other one down. I can't remember what it was. But, stocks that I like, NET, continue to do well, I think. Qualcomm, I said the other day, this chart looked really interesting. And we are up at 92, 93. The 1 year is interesting on this one. We just popped out of a little bullish pennant, and then we back tested yesterday. We back tested that lower channel and then popped again, and we're running. So this probably makes a run. I just think the Nasdaq's a little tired here, so I wouldn't be chasing this yet. Maybe we find a happy medium somewhere down below 91 at some point when things settle in. It's hard to tell. That's my take on the morning, and then I'll obviously text out anything that looks interesting during the day. Also looking at FONR, it's kind of an interesting company, and I like this chart I was looking at the other day, and it's trying to break above this little 2180 area. It's got a big spread in pre-market. I don't think there's been any trading, but this chart looks interesting. I like this agitation here, and this consolidating along the 200 expo. So I don't know what this big gap was. We have to look at that news. So we'll look at the news from 625. You guys can probably pull it up. I think it's 625 and see what caused that big gap down. But they obviously were willing participants in buying it regardless of how the market pulled back. It looks like it's building up some strength here. I think it's kind of a cool company if I remember looking at this.